Hi everybody, this is Borbala Banto CPA here from Concierge CPAs. Welcome to our weekly Facebook Live show. Today is Friday, February 15th. I hope you had a great Valentine's Day yesterday. In my household, we just got home, both my husband and I, after 9 o'clock, so we didn't celebrate at all, but I hope everybody's doing well. If you watching this video, most likely then you are one of our clients or friends or networking partners, so welcome. This is our weekly show where we get questions from the audience and we answer them. These are mostly questions that pertain to a lot of people, so we thought that we're just gonna share all the stuff that we talk about on Facebook Live. So first of all, we have great news. As of Sunday, we have a Grammy award-winning client. Erica Brenner from Erica Brenner Productions produced an album that won 2019 Grammy. There's this great Baroque orchestra in Cleveland called Apollo's Fire, and Erica produced a good number of their concerts and then a CD that they came out with back in April. The CD's name is Orpheus, and actually I think the tenor Karim Sulaiman and the CD won the award. So congratulations to Erica Brenner. If you are one of our clients and you're getting our monthly newsletter, then you might have heard about her, because one month we featured her and her also musician slash photographer husband, Gary Adams, as clients of the month. Every month we have a client of the month section in our printed and mailed newsletter. So Erica is such a great musician. I think if I remember correctly, she went to Yale for her master's degree in music, and she produced a lot of classical music, music, all kinds of festivals. She goes to all kinds of places, and classical musicians, when they want like portfolio music, they call her. So she has great technical sense, like in video, audio, but also she herself is a great musician. So congratulations, Erica, again. If you see Erica, say hi to her and congratulations. It was great. I followed Erica on Facebook as far as all the programs leading up to the award ceremonies, because she was out there in LA, and also like afterwards. So it was nice to kind of see a behind the scenes things from the award. So congratulations. Check it out, Orpheus from Apollo's Fire. It's such, they had just had their, I think, first international tour last year, and it's a great little orchestra. That being said, it is tax season, so we are getting, into the grind more and more. It's very frustrating that a lot of the forms are not final yet in the tax software. So here in Ohio, we have 3 tax returns: federal, state, and local. And local forms are really not available yet, or not finalized. So we cannot really finish personal tax returns. That being said, please, if you're a client and you have not made your appointments yet, just go on our website, go on the bottom of any of my emails where you find the links. So make your appointments. I did put in some evening appointments, like next Thursday we have somebody coming in 8 o'clock one of the days. So we're trying to make it so people who work late, can come in. Also, a GoToMeeting appointment is available, kind of like GoToMeeting is kind of like a Skype, Zoom type of technology. So most of our clients are out of state. They can never come into the office. A lot of our clients who are in Cleveland have never set foot in our office, which is sad, because we really like to see people and have people, especially since we have the boardroom. We can kind of like house people, seat people in 2 places. So sometimes I feel like I'm just running from one office to another for the appointments. But we really like to have people in. But if you're just busy, you have kids, you just don't want to come in, just let's do a GoToMeeting call where we can have like a phone call. We work with each other back and forth through email. So just think about it. Now you should have most of the tax forms by now. A lot of brokerage account investment type of 1099 composites are not out there yet. So all our clients who have those type of 1099s, they don't have everything. But what we found actually out this week, where we really concentrating on the business tax return, tax returns, the due date being March 15th, we found out that actually with the new tax law, it does take us much longer to finish business tax returns. Now, tax law, everybody knows, was signed back December 2017, started being applicable for, starting January 1st, 2018, but this is the first tax season actually we are implementing it. So we started taking classes on, how the new tax law is going to affect everything back in January last year. So we had now almost 14 months of courses, conferences we went to, self-studies, but still this is the first time when we actually have to put these on the tax forms and find where all those little new things go on the tax forms. Most of our clients, like the ones that we actually saw, the personal tax return, the 1040, already find it very funny when I tell them that, why? We only see like half a page on the first page and the second, because it's supposed to, if it's printed back to back, it's supposed to look like a giant business card, and just look, they look at me like, what? And I said, remember when in the media they said the Scandinavian companies like states like Norway has like a postcard for a tax return, and I don't know who came up with this idea that now the US should have like a postcard looking tax return. So the first 2 pages, if you would print them, double-sided and cut them off in the middle, it would look like a giant postcard. And they say, like, where did the other information that was on the bottom of the first 2 pages go? I said, oh yeah, this is 6 new schedules. So schedule 1 to 6. So now you have 6 extra pages of the tax return. But, that's just formality. Other than that, that's the easiest the part. Other than that, there are a lot of new things that actually we have to work out. So it takes longer, much longer than before, especially the business tax return. Now, also on the personal side, people are asking me, so what is your take so far? Are people really benefiting or not? Even our clients, I've seen a lot of posts online about, no, I'm not benefiting. This was a scam against the middle class. So far, our experience is that most of our clients got barely where they were under the new law. So a lot of things changed. They got higher child tax credits, deductions have been taken away or trashed or slashed or phased out. But somehow they got where they were last year. Maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse, but it was kind of like the same place. It was not like a huge increase in refunds or a huge increase in taxes either. It was more work for us, more time to go through everything and explain them why. Now, we did have one client who just greatly got disadvantaged by the tax law in the means of like $50,000-$60,000 difference between how it would have been, the tax would have been under the old law or a new law. So that was very unfortunate. It was a very hard news for me to break to her. Also, it was funny. We had a client who was here on Wednesday, and actually, I think she posted about this on her Facebook page. She came in and she was offered coffee or tea or water, and I was still in a meeting, and she told my brother, like, no, I don't want coffee or water, but if you would have some wine, then I'm pretty sure you don't, but I could use it. And then the answer was, oh, do you want white or red? And by the time she got into my office and my previous client left, she was like sipping her wine. And then by the end of the appointment, she said this was the only thing that got her through the appointment because it was really not that much good news for her either. So if you want to come in, we do have we have the medicine cabinet, we have the chocolate, we have 2 types of chocolates, we have the wine, we have all kinds of things ready to swallow, the hardship that goes and the bad news that goes on. But in a lot of cases, we try to be as proactive as we can. So if you know us, you know that we don't just see these clients who come in tax season and that's it. Now, last time we saw them, it was not last tax season. The last time we saw them or worked together was most likely between December 31st to December 15th to the 31st, right before the end of the year, when we did like the last set of projections, last set of check-in. We do these quarterly. So our business clients really usually they do not have any surprises this time of year. So when I said that it takes us longer to prepare a tax return, that's not because we see the numbers for the first time. Now, usually that's why if we can, we don't want to accept new clients who are business clients later than September, October, just because we need that time to see your financials. Is it clean? What do you know about bookkeeping? And then have a little time to strategically and proactively work with you before the end of the year. That being said, I think we have like three new clients this year who are just catching up and just became clients, and we did kind of an exception. So that's about our tax season. Make your appointments. Taxes and scams nowadays go together. I wanted to make a point. A good friend of ours called us about 2 weeks ago and left a message like, oh my goodness, I just got one of these calls, from India or wherever they are, and it was I'm just so disturbed. And this is like a 35-year-old guy, really intelligent in the financial sector, and still he got shaken up by these scam phone calls, and called his wife at home and said like, close the doors because the phone said if I don't pay they're gonna come to arrest you and stuff, and he went to the police. So long story short, I just made a point to myself to mention it, that if you get any phone calls, they're asking for money, cards now, gift cards, or go to the Walmart and buy Walmart cards, or go to Western Union and send me some money. Otherwise, the IRS or whatever agency is gonna knock on your door and arrest you. I know I got this phone call as well about 2-3 years ago, and I went to the Brecksville Police Department myself. I was all shaken up. But take a deep breath. Under no circumstance give them your bank account number or go and do anything else, then maybe call the police, which police really cannot do anything. They might take information down, but they really cannot do anything. So IRS does not call. You would know if you would owe money. In my case, actually, they called me, and that's how I immediately knew this is not even possible, because I'm not on the tax return. My husband is. So when they said that I owe money under my name and my social, under my address, I said IRS would never call me. They would have my husband's name first, right? So I immediately knew this is a scam, but it's still very disturbing. So hopefully you're not gonna get that, but a lot of especially elderly, but again, young people also, and educated people get victims of these scams. So I promise that we have new questions, a lot of new questions today. Also wanted to mention that next week we are not gonna have a Facebook Live. We are going to a Chinese Chamber of Commerce annual event. We're gonna be guests and exhibitors there. So we're gonna be there next Friday from 5 o'clock, most likely till 8-9 o'clock. Thursday we have back-to-back appointments till 9 o'clock p.m. So it's just not working out. So the next time we're gonna be live here is gonna be, I believe, March 1st, Friday. If you have any questions, please put them under the comments. My brother Les is handling the technology here in our boardroom in Brecksville. And you can also, if it's something confidential, you can email them to me at borbalo@conciergecpas.com. The email should be on the bottom information on Facebook. If you want to make your appointment, I get this question like 5 times a week. If you've gotten any email from me before, there are a couple of links under my signature, under my picture there. One is a red link for my online calendar. You can make an appointment there. But also, if you just go to our company website, conciergecpas.com, you can make an appointment there. And you can choose, you can even reschedule. I was supposed to have an appointment today with a young gentleman at 4 o'clock, and like 3:30, I look at my email and I see that he went in and rescheduled. He did not have to call me. He could do it from his phone. So it was very seamless. I did not have to take time out of my day, to answer him and reschedule. He was able to cancel and reschedule right there. I got an email notification. He gets email notification and text message notification from follow-up or coming up appointments. So it's a really great little system. So yeah, make your appointments. First question is actually and we are not using names or anything, that wouldn't help. So just send us any questions, any comments. There are a couple of areas where the last couple of weeks we got feedback from our clients that I never understood depreciation. Like, he had his business for a couple of years. We always tell him, like, this is how depreciation is, this is how it works. We told him several times. Again, most of our clients are highly educated, and still now he had to take a course and said, oh, I finally understand what depreciation is. You've been telling me about it for like 4 or 5 years already. Like, it was still fuzzy. So comments like these prompted us to have a couple of subjects that we're going to have a little more detailed, 10-15 minutes about, and just have that on record and tell people this is, usually stuff that people are afraid to ask their CPAs, or they don't want to seem like they don't know, which is, if you know us, you know that we are totally non-judgmental. We are not your father's CPAs. We are not here to scold people. We are here to help very proactively and very gently. Literally, we are very gentle and would never say to people like, hey, why are you doing this or that? Everybody has priorities. Everybody has their lives. We are here as advisors, as helpers, to help you achieve what you want. So our goal as CPAs is either you have a business or not. What goals do you have? What targets do you have? What dreams do you have? And if they take money, and most of them do, how we can help you get there. So if that is by helping you pay off your student loans faster, or refinance your mortgage so your payment is lower, and you can put more money towards the principal, or if that is like, I have like at least half dozen clients every year who come to me and saying, Borbala, I'm thinking about getting a divorce. What do I have to get ready? Totally in confidential manner. And I'm just saying, okay, this is this and this, you have to get ready. People are having kids. What do I have to get ready? I'm looking forward. Like, I had a couple of weeks ago this gentleman who says, I got a new job offer. It's a high position, executive position. Would you like to read it? And I told him, I'm not a lawyer. I can tell you my opinion about all the income tax related, benefits related issues. So we had a conversation. I read it. We talked about it for an hour. And just pointing out, 401k benefits, what does the contract say about health insurance, pension, stock options, stuff like that. So whatever your dream is, we are here to help you with it and just achieve it. I had a client who wanted to buy a boat 1 year, and it was really hard, but it worked out financially at the end. That being said, first question. Actually, this lady sent me a copy of a 2019 W-4 and says, I didn't have to fill one out for 100 years. Can you help me fill it out? So I thought I can mention it because it's a big mystery of how these exemptions and what's going on in the W-4, especially if this is a 2-earner household. The one spouse's HR and payroll company and job does only see that spouse's W-2. Like, they don't know what's going on in the big family picture. So it's very tempting to say married 4 because we are 2 of us, of spouses, and then 2 kids. But if both of you earn $100,000, married 4 is going to result in such a low tax withholding that at your end, you're going to wake up and realize, oh my goodness, I owe $8,000 to $10,000 between the 2 of us. why? Like, what happened? Why was not enough taken out? So I would say anybody who needs to fill out a W-4, which is just the employee withholding, tax withholding form, you should talk to your CPA and really do a current year projection, seeing how much income or W-2 it's projected for both spouses, what else is going on, dependents, kids, other credits, other income, even partial, like part-time business income, and just figure out really how much, should be on that form. Now, I wish the W-4 would work. Then you have to like designate a percentage of your gross wages, to be taken out for taxes. And we are talking about IRS mainly, but W-4 is a very inefficient form, and it doesn't work like, okay, please take out 10% or 20%. It's ask you if you're single or not, and how many exemptions, how many dependents are there. And there are a couple of like worksheet lines of if you're married, one for you, one for your spouse. If you have kids, do that, this and that. Very inefficient. As we know under the new law, we don't even have dependency exemptions. So it really doesn't matter how many people in your family. We don't have any tax breaks nowadays if there are more than two people married filing jointly. You have a standard or itemized deduction, and that's it. There are no extra deductions. So the W-4 could be really tricky. We did get calls from even like a law firm employee saying, can you help me fill this out? I have no idea what to do. If we don't do the personal tax return, actually it's very easy I can give you an answer, but it might not result in the correct withholding. Either it's going to be too much, most of the time it's just too little. We performed so many tax projections last year where we control one spouse. Let's say the wife has a business and we control her W-2, we process it and we see everything and her distributions, but we don't know anything about the husband's W-2. Maybe he started a new job, gave them a withholding threshold without asking us, of course. And then at the end of the year, when we did the projection, it turns out the husband's withholding on his paycheck is like 6%, 7%. What do they need on average total between the two high earner spouses? Maybe 18, maybe 20, 24. So this one spouse where we did not have any input, how much is taken out, was massively under withheld. So I had to tell these couples, I'm so sorry, the wife's withholdings on her W-2 and her distributions, there is money, like she did send her money in, but the husband's W-2 is massively under withheld, and that's why you owe $8,000 or $10,000. There's just nothing what I can do about it at your end. Now, if you change that and add some extra taken out each payroll during the year, or like in the new year, then it's a different scenario. But it really, I think everybody who has a two higher earner family should do projection for themselves. And I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence. I even have like very close friends of mine who like they just know what all taxes are about, and husband does the taxes and he could figure it out if there are any changes. But at the same time, 95% of our clients who are, again, as well-educated business people, well-versed in financial, they still have a hard time and would not be able to do this, for themselves. So either, get help or just try to do, 2019 tax projection for yourself. Another favorite client of mine said, "Hi, Borbala, I received it attached in the mail today. My financial advisor last year told me to remove the funds from my former company's 401k accounts and roll them over to a rollover IRA, which my financial advisor now manages. I got nervous because I received a 1099, which I'm thinking could be considered income, but I did exactly what my financial advisor told me to do, and this money is now at the new brokerage account. Is this normal, or should I be concerned that I received these in the mail? Thanks." Thought this is a good example where there was a financial advisor help, but he did not disclose, or he or she did not disclose everything. Now the good news is these 1099s, actually it was not one, it was 3 1099s attached to this email, and they did say there was money taken out from the 401k, but then when I saw what code They're like a couple of codes, different numbers and letters that mean something, different things with the IRS. The code said G, which immediately I knew that it means rollover. So I looked at the back, double checked, it means rollover. So if you get 1099s, it's not necessary that it's gonna be taxable. For example, these 1099s were good. Financial company, brokerage account, gave the money to another brokerage account, and they correctly marked this G. Actually, in this case, it was trustee to trustee transfer. So the money was taken out from the 401k, but rolled over into a rollover IRA. It's not taxable, but the IRS knows about this fact. So that's why there was a 1099 correctly issued by the first 401k company. But luckily, the codes were correct. Now, it's very important, if you did some rollover like this and you're not getting your 1099s yet, then make sure that you wait and tell your tax preparer, oh, by the way, I rolled over stuff. Any rollover should have 1099s. I rolled over some life insurance from one company to another, and I got this huge 1099. Something, oh my goodness, what's going on? But they do have the code saying I just rolled over whatever dividend principal I had in one life insurance to another, so I will not be taxable to for all these huge amounts. So not why just see 1099 does not necessarily mean that it's taxable. So just show it to your tax preparer. Hi, Borba. My partner and I began the process of discussing how to come up with a partnership agreement. It actually seems like we're on the same page, which is good news. He asked to get an idea what the firm overhead looks like. Can you just send me the breakdown that you showed me the last time I was there, to show how much the firm spends each year in the major IRS categories? Thank you. So I thought this is a good example because a lot of most businesses start out as a self-employed, and then later maybe they have an LLC or an Inc., but basically a sole owner. And then later, a couple of years later, things change, and there is the option of, or the opportunity to have a partner, either minority or majority partner. And one reason why every small business from the start should have very good financials is, so it's something like an opportunity like this presents itself, then you do have great financials. So you can just, tell your CPA, can you just show me and give me these, breakdown month by month? And that's what I gave this dear client. I gave him this month by month income statement, also called P&L, that shows all these expenses in the categories, very detailed categories. And it was not just overhead, one number. It was like 15 different lines. So the potential partner can see, okay, so this is how much we are spending on rent, on overhead payroll, on taxes, on office supplies, and we just basically had this at our fingertips. We did not have to wait another couple of months until the opportunity, just forgets about us. It was like an instant gratification, and we were just able to give it to him. So be ready, have very accurate and good financials, up-to-date financials. There's no excuse in the 21st century. You have QuickBooks, you can get bookkeepers who can take care of them. If you don't, you can take boot camp, like we offer these private boot camp classes. If you want to learn how to do QuickBooks in the beginning for yourself, there are all kinds of, some people do not need QuickBooks, and we do, when we talk to people, we tell them about best practice for this particular phase of your business, and then what you want to achieve later. So it's great when everything works, and like in this case, our client is proactive, that he's a busy professional. He started out as reaching out and having his current and correct financials at his fingertips at any point. Now my last note here is, watch out if you designate the bookkeeping, taking care of the financial piece, to like an office manager or a wife or a kid. Just have somebody like your CPA oversee that person. It could work out great. I could cite several examples where there was no, like even last year, we saw a situation where there was no oversight of a bookkeeper. And the bookkeeper, this is like her business. Is an outsourced bookkeeper, otherwise good, but she's not a CPA. She's like really missed stuff, big stuff that resulted in, like I'm thinking of one case, $5,600 between $5,000 and $6,000 of penalties, just because she did not know something that, at her level, maybe it was okay. If she would have, or the company would have had an overseer just to check in, either monthly or quarterly from a CPA, then it should not have happened. So just imagine $5,000-$6,000 that more than pays for a CPA's hourly rate, to oversee this bookkeeper. So do yourself a favor and just have somebody oversee anybody who is not like a certified, even a certified bookkeeper. Like there are all kinds of certification these days. But if that person doesn't have a license, I would get somebody who oversees the bookkeeper, because they can just say everything is done, but it's not, right? Every year I see, we work with a lot of attorneys, and it's very prevalent, or actually used to be, not anymore. I think nowadays they're starting to get away from it, but it used to be about 10 years ago that most of the attorneys' wives did the bookkeeping and the financials for the husband's firm. It was really prevalent. And then so we did these quarterly tax proactive strategic check-ins, and I would look at the financials and immediately point out like 3-4 major mistakes which were not caught. So the attorney looked at it, the wife looked at it, all quarter long. They did not catch it because there was just no way, because they were not CPAs. Sometimes they would have business coaches, or what they called like outsourced CFOs, also looked at them and analyzed the numbers. And those people had MBAs, great financial background, and still didn't catch it because it was just like technical stuff, accounting stuff. And again, not even like I put it in this category instead of that category, not the like major accounting errors that they just like didn't catch. And not to mention like penalties, like especially payroll penalties when they do payroll in-house, and like an office manager manages it and pushes the button for paying the payroll tax. Oh my goodness, all the penalties they are resulting in. It's just too sad. It should not happen. Good morning. Quick question in regards to bank statements. Do you want business bank statements only, or business and personal? Cheers. So this client actually is a new client. So we told them we are setting up a shared Dropbox folder that houses in subfolders every type of document, and every document for the company, and then tax returns and financials and worksheets, everything that we have. So the client has them at their fingertips day or night. On the weekends, we can be on vacation, we can be closed. If they need a copy of their tax return, again, Saturday night, for something, they do have it. So we shared this Dropbox with them, and I said a good practice is let's create this subfolder called bank statements, and then every year I want to see, every 2018, all the 12 monthly bank statements, every credit card you're using for the business, 12 months, and just every month go in, get the PDF of the statement of your online banking, and put it in there. 3 years from now, if anybody, and it does not have to be the IRS, workers' comp, or anybody audits you, God forbid, then you have these at your fingertips. The first question the IRS is asked, like, do you have all the bank statements, printed out or otherwise? Do you have accounting records? So why I chose this question was because it sounds like, oh, of course, just business. Like, why would the CPA be interested in anything personal? And that's what was my first reaction also. Like, of course, I only need the business tax returns and the business credit card statements. But then I realized, oh, wait a minute. The client just started their business mid-year. Maybe for a while. They already started. They didn't even have an LLC. They didn't have an EIN. They didn't have a business bank account. So they might have a good number of business expenses on personal credit cards, on personal bank accounts. So for that reason, I had to tell this client, please put in there all those business returns, bank statements, and credit card statements that have any personal any business charges on these personal cards. Highlight the business ones. Put a big exclamation point or a star next to them. So then I can advise you how to enter these transactions into QuickBooks. QuickBooks Online connects with the bank accounts, business bank accounts. These charges on the personal cards could never download in there. They're not in QuickBooks. Now there is a way to enter them manually, right? So either by journal entries or manual entries. Again, if you have a bookkeeper that knows what they're doing, if you have a CPA that can help you track and not forget about all these business transactions that were charged either to personal bank or credit cards accounts, or if they were cash. Also cash and of course, just as a side note here, mileage, home office, such good number of things, cell phone charged on the personal credit card, especially if it's together with other people. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Home internet used for the business, home office. These are all things that you have to consider not to leave money on the table. These are valid. Again, I'm not saying 100% of all these, just a partial business usage, and then obviously claiming some of these deductions, some of these expenses on your business tax return. If we can, and 99% we are really careful to have this, if you have an accounting system like QuickBooks, these otherwise not business transactions that were not charged to the business credit card or bank account are something that we want to enter in the accounting system. And so then when we look at the tax income, it's basically an income statement. What is the total revenues? What are the expenses by categories? And the profit or the loss on the bottom should almost 100% match to what's in your accounting system. Maybe I mentioned this. We had a client last year where they came in for us to evaluate if we can take them over, and we asked for a copy of the tax return and then look all the different types of bookkeeping, and they were no way to reconcile these two. So we looked at the tax return and I said, hopefully it's good. We don't have any worksheets from the CPA, but I can tell you your accounting system, which is in 3 different places, just by looking at it and analyzing it for half an hour, nowhere matches to what's on the tax return. So hopefully former CPA had very good worksheets of how they pull the different data together and put in the tax return. But going forward, that's never going to happen. We want to keep this clean. You take the tax return, maybe later you want a business loan. Loan officer looks at the tax return, looks at financials, P&L, which is the income statement and balance sheet, printed out from your accounting system. They should match. And then on the bottom, there should be a little reconciliation of what is still the difference. For example, meals are only deductible on the tax return, half of them at 50%, right? So on the financials, you just spend, let's say, $1,000, but on the tax return, you will only see $500. But that's a little reconciliation, and it tells you on the bottom of this worksheet why. What is the difference? Otherwise, other than that, they should totally match. And it's actually so great when we look at the accounting system and then all kinds of, and the P&L and the balance sheet, all kinds of questions come up of what is missing, and we actually enter them by journal entries or different ways, so the financials are correct in the accounting system. And I can see why somebody who's listening and says, my business is so small. No, we're always talking about couple of $1 million businesses. No, this is from zero pretty much, but especially if you have anything above $10,000, this is how it should look like. These are just best practices. I did not come up with these. This is just something. But again, I just mentioned this new client we got last year. I mean, they are in business for, 10 years. They are almost $2 million company, and still, their CPA never sat down with them and said, that's enough. You have this legacy accounting system, different places and manual and all kinds of stuff. You have payroll with one company. You have the bookkeeping with one for revenues. You have the practice management. So this is just, let's try to reimagine this. How would you do it if you would start the firm today? That's a question that I asked in this week to a good number of people. Like, how, if you would start your company today, like, would you put in these systems? That's the accounting system, that is the payroll system that you would choose? Are those the people you would hire? Is this the location you would have? Is this the pricing that you would set up? And if the answer to any of these questions is no, then let's see what we can do about it. And before you go one more year, just let's figure out like how we can get back there, so now you can really build the business of your dreams. As many of you know, I'm a member of Entrepreneur Organization Accelerator, EOA. It's a great organization. It's a global organization, and every quarter we have a learning day. One of the learning days, the quarterly learning days, was yesterday, Valentine's Day, of course. And so I was together with, like 50, 60 business people from around this area. You have to have at least $250K gross revenue to get into the organization. And then when you reach $1 million, then you graduate over to like the big guys. So everybody's goal in this group is to get to $1 million gross. And of course, that's just like something they do. For me, it's basically the bottom line is more important. But that being said, it is just such a great tool to take away a full day and be with a trainer, with 50 other people who are in your shoes, a lot of whom you get to know really closely and their struggles. And so I could just suggest to anybody who is starting the business or in the midst of growing a business to look out for some opportunity like that. There are a lot of the small businesses in this area that I talk to become members of the Women Business Center /ECDI, not just women, where you get mentored in a business with a business plan, market research, marketing advice. Meet other people in your shoes. It's just invaluable. We are here in Brecksville, and next to us there is a car wash. And the car wash, actually, the person who owns the car wash, he's a great businessman, and he has this mentee, 19-year-old guy who started a car detailing business from one area of the car wash. And actually the owner of the car wash put it in the contract as a requirement for the young guy to seek us out and come here for advising. So this young guy comes over. He's 19, so great, and full of dreams and so hungry and open to learn. It was tax season. I think Wednesday I spent like almost 4 hours with him, which is too long for tax season. But he was just like, oh, can't believe all this information. I have to videotape or like audio tape it and listen to it. And I just told him, just reach out to local groups. And I just gave him some. These are all the books that you should read. These are the podcasts. Whenever you drive, work out, you just have to watch your time and really guard what you're doing, your mindset, who you share your dreams and and hopes with. And it was just so great to see, like, this is where we've been maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, just like starting out. Everything is fresh. It's just a great place. So if you have any hopes of maybe someday opening a business, or you're just like thinking about it, putting your toes in the water, just reach out to one of these organizations. Like, with the internet, you can find anything. It's so invaluable. First time I went to EOA, I'm thinking, oh, everybody's so serious here, like such like serious business people, especially when the big EO members come and give us lectures and lunches. And it was intimidating, but I said, this is where I have to be, because I want to be amongst them. And any chance that the big EO has events that they share with the EOA members, and they have some openings, and they're opening it to the EOA members, like, who wants to go? Like, I immediately said, like, I'm dropping everything and I'm going, because I want to be among those people, and that's how I'm gonna get there. So was just an encouragement. If you are in that situation, do yourself a favor and just read as much as you can, listen to podcasts, and just get together with the people that you admire where you want to be. I remember one of my, somebody I admired, actually, I went to his partner retreat to a different city, actually, one time. And I seeked him out and I said, what advice do you have for me who's just starting out and, want to aspire to do what you do in your profession? And he just said, I don't have time to mentor you or anything, but just watch what I'm doing and put your spin on it and just try it. And that's what, all my mentors are basically sharing their examples, but then I have to put my own spin on it. But that's how we are inspired, to do better and greater things. This next question, actually, it's so funny. I was shocked when I read it. This gentleman is such a seasoned professional and Schedule C business owner. And he said in his email, I've talked to a couple of people and gotten different opinions, so I'm going to the expert. Are business expenses still allowed for the self-employment portion of my income? I'm specifically asking about things like meals and home office. Thanks. So when I read this, oh my goodness, there's all this information out there, and he heard that business expenses are not allowed anymore against self-employed income, all business expenses. It shocked me. So I immediately sent him an email. I said, oh my goodness, I really have to talk more about this and just clear the air. And so I told him that all business expenses are still deductible, except a couple of them. For example, entertainment is not deductible anymore. Now I know that this particular client does not have entertainment expenses anyway. So concert or sporting events, and also people started bringing their stuff in for tax season, and I saw that a good number of them for business meals or events that they sponsored or they held at their homes or office, they just labeled as entertainment, right? And I immediately was like, what entertainment is this? Did you buy golf tickets, sporting events? And he said, no, these were events I put together, and it's the food I bought for that. Okay, then let's look at this more carefully, because it might be not entertainment. I don't want to say that never, but it might not be how the IRS defines entertainment. So, look at it. So meals, home office expense are still good. Now, I don't want to get into it, but even in the case that you take clients out for an entertainment event, if you pay for food there separately, that's still, something that could be deductible. Now, what he might have heard about was business deductions. So if somebody says, business deductions are not allowable anymore. If this person who says this is the W-2 employee and had unreimbursed job expenses, which we call Form 2106 expenses, that totally went away, this might have been something that he heard. So, for example, traveling salesman. I had a client like this, 30,000 miles a year he drove. His company only reimbursed him 25 cents a mile. The IRS says that he's entitled to, let's say, 54.5. The difference between the IRS and what he got reimbursed, he was able to claim on this Form 2106, on this unreimbursed job expenses. I used to do taxes for the majority of the Cleveland Orchestra members. They are W-2 employees. They came to work with their instrument. Nobody gives them instruments. Some of those instruments were Stradivari's. It's $500,000, $1 million instrument. So me as a W-2 employee, for example, if I hire somebody as an accountant, they show up. Maybe they bring a pencil. They don't have to. They don't have to bring their own laptop or, otherwise books or anything. If a Cleveland Orchestra musician or any musician shows up for the symphony, they have to bring their instruments. So shouldn't be there a deduction for that? They need to have tucks, right, for the concerts and to clean those. Doctors, special glasses, special certifications that maybe the hospital does not reimburse. continuing education that, again, hospital doesn't or their practice doesn't reimburse. This 2106 was where they put them. Now, that is gone. So, unfortunately, that's one of the downsides where these people are gonna, be in a pickle. So, my client might have heard about that, the unreimbursed employee business expenses going away. But if you're self-employed, you have a business, you still, absolutely, you can deduct home office. Of course, there are rules to all these, but there is no, other than entertainment per se, just it's not deductible anymore. Everything else is still on the table and is a potential deduction, right? Like the note here, like with everything else, is please reach out to your CPA and, for final determination in what is deductible and how much. I tell people usually that you would think that for taxes and numbers, everything is black and white, but it's really such a picture of your family taxes, how it all comes out, right? Yes, sometimes there are black and white stuff, but there's a lot of circumstantial stuff. The IRS says all these business deductions, there are reasonable and customary, right? So is it reasonable if I just started a business and I have, let's say, $5,000 income a year, that I buy this Corvette for my business? Could be a good case, right? Maybe I started my business December 31st and I will have this huge income in the new year. It could be that, I'm showing it, it could be depending on what business I'm in. Most of the time, it might be a case that it's not. So what is reasonable and customary for that business, then it is a circumstantial area. So you really have to reach out for advisors, and TurboTax is going to tell you, not going to tell you. H&R Block is not going to tell you, what's considered red flag, gray flag, what's going on. Okay, a couple of more questions before we conclude for the day. 1099. 1099's question. 1099 was due January 31st. If you do have a business and you did not file your 1099s for any subcontractor that did work for you for more than $600 a year, then now you're late. Hopefully you can file them ASAP. But now a lot of clients that we send out a lot of 1099s for our clients. We did send them out, and then this is what happens, like this question. My subcontractor believes that the amount I 1099'd him was for too much, and he said he looked into his deposits all year, and it was a lower amount that he found. So can we just give a substantiation of why we used a certain amount? So again, good thing, we have the bookkeeping in QuickBooks. We printed out all the deposits or the checks that my client wrote to the subcontractor, gave them a list, and here you go. Now this happens fairly frequently with construction, roofers, contractors, where the service provider does not have good records. So it relies on you as a business owner to give them all these records and double check. So it's better if you have it, because after we did this, we never heard from the guy. I mean, he should have all the deposits in his bank account, but who knows, maybe he cashed some of the checks. But we were able to say, these are the check numbers, these are the dates, these are the amounts, and then he did not contest it. I mean, technically we have canceled checks, if we need to look into. Question, hope you're well. I know I should finish my past taxes, I just don't know or can't afford to owe. For my health insurance, I need to provide them my income. Could you help me with that? So I chose this question because this is an example of somebody who is just habitually late with filing taxes for years, right? Like we're working on his 2016. He does not owe for 16, and we are chasing him since September to sign it. Now, why do I bring this up? Because it could be a good reminder of just be proactive, right? Like you don't owe, have it done, take care of it, catch up. This is the time, catch up with 16, 17, and 18, and going forward, find somebody that you like basically we do all the legwork. He just really has to sign. And even that happens electronically. So how much easier can it be than when you get an email and it says, please click on this link and sign your tax return electronically with your mouse and push submit. Especially if you do not owe money. It might be because you were not proactive. Now you don't get health insurance, or it was higher than it was supposed to be. So I know we have a million things and they're personal stuff, but just listen to your CPA if they're nudging you just to take care of stuff. And they're like, we are starting to call people like beginning of March. Now actually I just talked to somebody today who said, I love my CPA. Last year she wanted to drop me. I had to beg her to take me back, but I know what's gonna happen this year. I said, you better reach out to her because this year everybody has more work with the new tax law, so she might want to drop you again. So reach out to your tax preparer early and just follow what they say. Hopefully they are really proactive, they're nice, and just take care of things, and just be done. Forget about it. Usually when we're just procrastinating, it's always in the back of our minds, and it just puts its toll on everything. Just take care of it. Just take care of it. And some people do not want to file because they owe, but they don't even know how much. Now again, it's not, you might be surprised. Like this guy thought like, I owe every year. And we said, no, you had this great loss. Great. I mean, it was a big loss before. You not gonna owe. Just understand you don't. Just take care of it, right? So a lot of times it might be a better news than what you think it is. Okay. Remember a couple of years ago, maybe the first time we did the Facebook Live, I had a question from this friend of mine who sent me a link to an article in Money Magazine, and it said that 25% of pension distributions that you get are tax-free. And I was just like startled by this, like, how come I did not hear about this? Like, what law is this? And I started looking, like reading into more, and I realized this is the UK version of the Money Magazine. So it was not the US law, it was the British UK law. And so I told him about it, right? And guess what? I get a question, this email yesterday. It says, hi, I'm receiving my defined benefit pension on June 1st. I have been reading in different places that the first 25% distribution is tax-free. Do you agree? You can imagine I didn't know if I should laugh or cry. And I sent an email back immediately to my friend and said, we talked about this. This is UK law. Please forget about it. And 5 exclamation mark. Why do I bring this up? Just as a reminder that you hear all kinds of things. All kinds of things. A lot of my clients shared on Facebook different articles about the new tax law and how middle class doesn't benefit, what's going on, and what's not deductible. I mean, who benefits? It's like, it could be a political or hypothetical question, but actually these articles, some of them spelled out different deductions that are not allowable anymore, and they were totally wrong. They were like totally wrong. Now, they could be right, like student loan is not deductible anymore. If your income is that high, that you're phased out, you're over the threshold, that was the case before, that's the case now, but otherwise there's no, like, it's still in place. There's a student loan interest was not taken out, off the table. So I've tried to refrain myself of commenting these because I don't want to get into argument. Again, if you do have a good CPA, you can just reach out, and that's why they have the license. We have to be responsible for everything we say. We can research, but you can hear like crazy things, like very crazy things. And this is one of them. So I was just like laughing. Okay, maybe one more. We just finished this tax return, and the gentleman says, I was wondering about the stock I hold. We can discuss after filing too. So what his question was, he has these stocks, and like why they're not on the tax return, like what's going on with them. So I said, okay, did you get any tax forms? Like 1099, dividend. Did you get dividends? What's going on? He said, I think I got some dividends during the year, but I did not get any tax forms. So I said, so here's the thing. Let's ask if the company or if it's a brokerage account, if you're supposed to get 1099s. Most of the time, if you have like Vanguard or Schwab, you can log in. And at this time of year, it does say 1099s are going to be available like February 15th. Somebody just told me like it was about a Fidelity account. It's going to be available. 1099s are going to be available March 8th. So if this is otherwise a taxable brokerage account or just stocks, that you don't get distributions, you don't get dividends, nothing. If that's just owning the stocks, it's not a taxable event, right? Here in the US, we pay tax on the income, the growth, the capital gain, or capital losses to use up, interest, ordinary income like W-2s, pension, like it has to be income, just on assets. And there are some European, like Scandinavian countries who actually you have to pay tax, a little tax on assets. So if you are really rich, even if you don't have any earned income that year, just for having the asset, you have to pay. And that's how, they keep maybe the income taxes lower because, the rich have to pay these asset taxes. Here in the US, we only pay tax on the income. So if you don't get any dividends, don't get anything, you did not sell them. If you sell them, even if at loss, you do get a tax form. You do have to put it on the tax return. If you did not do anything with them, nothing. So, but my guy here says, I do remember getting something. Now, again, then the answer was, the company is responsible and their financial department is responsible for making that election of, is this a taxable dividend? Maybe it was some return on something. We don't know. I don't know what was, unless, I see some documentation, what came with the check. But the company will make the determination of this is dividend or capital gain distributions, like what was it? And most likely, if they determine that it's taxable, not most likely, they have to give you a 1099. Again, you could have gotten some reimbursements or something, but just if you don't do anything, or even just to buy the stock, usually it's not a taxable event. Only if it earns income or if you sell it for a gain or a loss. So that's why, you might even have like a K1 from a partnership that you invested in or business you invested in. You might have just a 0 K1 or nothing. So just ask them because they have to have somebody responsible at that company to tell you. I think we're out of time. I'm going to leave the rest of the questions for March 1st. As I mentioned next week, we are at the annual event of the local Greater Cleveland Chamber of Commerce. Chinese Chamber of Commerce has an annual event we're going to be at. And actually, I got some phone calls from the City Hall of Cleveland and other places telling us that, they're going to be there too. So it's going to be a great event. It's at a winery, about 150, 175 people. So if by any chance you are a member of the Chamber of Commerce, then we will see you there. Other than that, just as a final note, if you have any questions, reach out to us. We are here to help. If you're still thinking about, being more proactive with your either business or finances for this year, there's still time. Now, 6 weeks, but almost by the time we are going to be on Facebook again, it's going to be 2 months is gone from the new year, but there's still time. There's still a chance to, to turn around. I talked to a lot of people who are struggling, thinking about bankruptcy versus just debt consolidation. We do offer a great little financial, private course, even for people who do not have a business. So if you're interested in finding out more, or if you have these plans of, I really want to take care of or need to take care of getting rid of my student loans, what can I do, refinance or otherwise, in order to prioritize and just get back to, where I want to be financially. If you're interested, reach out to your CPA, reach out to us. Just do yourself a favor and your family a favor to be more proactive. Because this could be the year. This could be year. Everybody I talk to has great expectations of this year. I think as far as business, everybody's looking out to have a great year. Employment rates are up. wages are up. It's hard to find new hires. That's what I hear from everybody. So these are the times when we should put, fix the stuff that's broken in our family financial lives and just get on good footing. So that being said, let us know if you have any questions. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.